Hi, this is MJ and today I'm going to show you how to make a baby size cabled toque. I'm using Kindred DK weight and the color I'm using is Saltwater, and this yarn is from WeCrochet. It's really soft. It has 68% baby alpaca and 32% Peruvian Pima cotton, and it's so soft, perfect for babies. I'll be using a G hook and also which is a 4mm, and also a G plus, which is a 4.5mm. So to begin, we'll make a slip knot and we're going to chain out 19. And then we'll work single crochets across our chain. So in the second chain from the hook, there's 1, 2. We'll work single crochets all the way across. Okay, so once I've reached the end, you want to go back and double check. You should have 18 stitches in total. Stretch that out. Then we'll chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to be working into the back loops only for the entire band. So you just want to go and push your hook down through the stitch, right through the center, and you're only grabbing the back loop. Working a single crochet. And now the entire band is worked in single crochets in the back loop only. So you'll want to repeat row 2 until you have a total of 60 rows. Okay, so I've worked up my 60 rows, and I'll give this a little measure here for you. So it's a total, without stretching it, 11.5 inches by about 3.5. Possibly to 3.75. 3.5 to 3.75. And now remember that this is going to stretch out quite a bit when it's being worn. So what we're going to do next is fold the hat. So you can see this is about the size for a baby. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch the band together. So you're going to go through 1 stitch and then 1 stitch on the other side. And we're just slip stitching that together. So going across through every stitch for a total of 18. It's a little trickier on the chain side. You just gotta kind of make sure you're not going back through the same. So I like to take a peek on that other side and just do that all the way across. So I finished slip stitching, and now we're gonna chain 1. And what we'll do is work 1 single crochet for every row around the ribbing. So that will be a total of 60 stitches because we have 60 rows. We're leaving that seam to the outside because when we fold, you can see it's invisible when you fold that up. So just 1 single crochet per row all the way around. And I'll complete that off camera and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch in the first single crochet to join. And I'm going to change over now to my larger hook. So I have another Odyssey here. So this is my G plus and it's 4.5. I'm going to chain 2 and work half double crochets in every stitch around so that we have a total of 60 stitches. And it's important for the cabling pattern that your stitch count is correct. Okay, and once we've worked all the way around, we're going to slip stitch in that first half double crochet to join. So in the top of the stitch, chain 2, and our chain 2 is not included as a stitch. So now we're going to begin the first round of the cabling pattern. It's a 2-round repeat, so it's very simple once you get going at it. We're going to yarn over, we're going to do a front post double around the first stitch. We're going to skip the next 2 and do a front post treble in the next. So skipping 1, 2, around the next. And a front post treble around the next stitch as well. So it's a 4-stitch cable, so we'll work back now into these 2 skipped stitches. So front post treble in that first skipped, and a front post treble in the next. And in the next stitch here, we'll do a front post double. So our repeat is a front post double, then we're skipping 2, front post treble in the next, yarn over twice, front post treble in the next, we're working back now into these 2 skip stitches, yarn over twice, yarn over twice, and a front post treble in the next skipped. So we're just repeating that all the way around. Front post double between every cable, and the cable is always working over top, skipping 2, working, and I'm just going to complete this off camera, and I'll meet you up when I get around. Once you get all the way around, I'm just ending my last repeat, so I've already done my front post double. If you don't have 4 stitches remaining, then you'll want to go back and recheck your work, because we need to finish off the cable at this point. So I'm just going to finish my final cable here, and then I'll show you how to do the next round. Okay, so I've completed my final cable. I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the first front post double to join. Chain 2. And now for the second round of the cable, we're just working front post doubles in every stitch around. So when you get to the cable, you need to kind of pull it apart. The first 2 are going to be in behind, so you need to make sure you're getting both of those stitches there. And then the next 2 will be on top, so they'll be easier to see. And then the front post here. And then we're just working front post doubles all the way around. And that's just pulling apart our cable here. To straighten it out a little bit before we twist it again. So I'm going to work that all the way around and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked all the way back around again. I'm going to slip stitch in that first front post double to join, chain 2, and now we're back to the first round of the cabling pattern. So this is just a repeat now. You're alternating between the first round of the cable and the second round for the entire length of the hat. So I'm going to get you to work those up and I'm going to work mine off camera and then I'll meet you up for the hat, for closing up the hat. I'll just go over a couple here just to run through the cabling again. So we're doing a front post double in that first and we're skipping the next 2, doing a front post treble in the next, front post treble in the next, and then a front post treble back into the first skipped stitch, and a front post treble into the next, and a front post double is worked between every cable. So just repeat that and then you'll do another round of just front post doubles. And I will meet you back up to let you know how many repeats I do for this size. Hey, so I've been working away on my hats. I've also been working on a child size hat over here. And in total for my baby size, I've worked up 13 rounds. So that's 12 rounds in total of the cabling and then our starting half double crochet round. So I just like to look at, it's really easy to count your rounds if you look at your starting chains and then you can count up to see how many rounds that you've worked. And then what we're going to do is decrease the hat a little bit so that we're not trying to pull it in so much. So we're going to chain 2. So we're on to round 14. And we're going to decrease these together. So how I'm going to do that, I'm going to go under, pulling up a loop. I'm going to go right under the next, pulling up another loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 3 and then yarn over and pull through 2. So yarn over, going under, pulling up a loop. You could yarn over again, but just so it's not as thick, I'm just going to go right under, pulling up a loop again, yarn over, pull through 3, pull through 2. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So decreasing every 2 together. Okay, so I worked all the way around, slip stitching into the first to join. And I think I'm going to do this one more time. So again, we're just going to decrease two of the stitches together. So we've reduced to 30 and then this time we'll reduce to 15. So I'm going under and then I'm just going into the next. Okay, so I've slip stitched to join and this is what it's looking like now. So what we're gonna do is fasten off the long tail. Pull that through. I'm gonna take my yarn needle. So now we're gonna weave through every other stitch around the hat. And then you can just pull it. And then what you want to do is weave around, just continuing to pull the top of the hat in. That's how it's looking. So I can keep weaving, and then you want to weave back in the opposite direction. That will secure it, but I also like to go back one more time in the other direction just to be sure with a hat that it's not going to come undone. And once you're, excuse me, then you can trim it. And this end here, I started crocheting over it, but it needs to get woven back in the opposite direction to secure it. And then you just fold, and depending, I like the fold up style brim because if it's a little bit big, you can fold it up as much as you need to for your baby's head, but then as they grow, it can kind of come down a little bit more and be a little slouchy a little bit. So in the pattern, I'll have your sizes from your smaller baby all the way up to a large adult size. So now what I'm going to do to finish off my hat is I have some tags. These are from brickbubble.ca. This one uses the leather rivets and it's really easy to attach. I like the gray because I think I'm going to go with the gray pom-pom for this one. So I am going to sew this tag on. What I like to do first is make sure the seam actually blends really, really well. I'm not even sure where it is. Okay, so here's my seam. I'm going to keep my seam to the back of the hat. So I'm gonna sew my tag up here like this. Either side really is fine. Doesn't really matter. I'm just using embroidery thread. It's actually been ages since I've sewn on a tag because I'm usually using the leather rivets now, which make it really easy. So to sew it on, go under the first hole, and you want to leave that you have a tail there for knotting at the end. So I'm going to go through the center hole. I'm going to push out the back. I'm going to go through the back hole as well. Then I'm going to go through this hole. If you can get it right through the other hole, great, but if not, just come to the other side and just push it up through that hole. Go back down through the center. Go back through the center of the back, and then we've just got our last one. We want to pop up through there. Then you can knot your tails. And then I just like to weave. I might need my bigger needle here. I just like to take those tails and weave them through and trim out on the other side. Okay, and then for this pom-pom, some of them have, I think I'm gonna put white on the other one. This one has a little elastic band, and for those style, you put a button on top of the hat to fasten it. And then I have the snap style as well. So the snap, we sew this piece to the top of the hat and then they snap together. And that's just so you can remove them for washing so you don't wreck your pom-pom. And the best way to care for your faux fur pom-poms is to blow dry them. So blow drying them will just fluff them all out really nice. And they'll look great. And even after wearing it, if you just want to give them a blow dry, it'll just fluff them up again if they get squished. So then what I do to sew this on is I just use some of my yarn. Actually, this needle I think is too big. You need to find a needle that will go through the holes here, so I need to find a bit smaller needle. Okay, so I have that all sewn on the top, and then you can just snap the pom-pom. And there is your super cute, adorable cabled baby hat. The pom-pom's quite big, but you can get smaller ones as well. So whatever. And you could also make a yarn pom-pom using a pom-pom maker, and that would look great too. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so that you get updates when I post new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much.